And Man Friday will be the last one. They're all in line. They're off in the Let It Ride Stakes. And it's Team Merchant, Sonic Breeze, and Nerves of Steel out for the early lead with Coastal Kid there too. And the four of them will speed out from Coulthard. Crew Dragon came out running in sixth on the inside. Then it's Man Friday and Petruccio. And Lincoln Hawk is last of them all and racing 8 lengths off of Sonic Breeze, who has gained the lead on that first turn. Sonic Breeze by 3/4 of a length. On the outside is Coastal Kid in second, 22.56, that opening quarter mile. Then it's Nerves of Steel right alongside of Team Merchants, a length and a half clear of Coulthard, who follows them in fifth. After that comes Crew Dragon, Petruccio to the outside, Man Friday between those two, and Lincoln Hawk at the rear of the field is 7 lengths off the lead. So they continue up the backstretch here, and they continue through a 46.71 half mile. Sonic Breeze and Umberto Rispoli 3/4 of a length ahead of Coastal Kid on the outside. Nerves of Steel in tight quarters there as Team Merchants grabs third to the outside. Nerves of Steel back to fourth, still saving ground, and 2.5 lengths off the lead, right ahead of Coulthard as they make their way around the far turn. One off the rail, Crew Dragon is trying to get going too. Then it's Man Friday on the outside, and they're into the stretch, and Team Merchants has taken over the lead and has pulled away from Sonic Breeze. And then it's Nerves of Steel, followed by Crew Dragon and Lincoln Hawk. It is Team Merchants and Mario Gutierrez to win the Let It Ride. Nerves of Steel was second, Coulthard was third, then Lincoln Hawk.
Team Merchants with the victory. It was Doug O'Neill, J. Paul Redham, and Mario Gutierrez that won the Kentucky Derby back in 2016 with Nyquist. And now with his offspring, they win the Let It Ride. Maybe not as big of a stakes race, but to see the offspring getting it done, and now on this surface, Rishi, it's a fantastic performance.
It was a fantastic performance, almost a perfect trip. Sat perfectly, just a length or so off the lead, in the perfect position to strike, close to the lead turning in, which a lot of people have spoken about here at Del Mar. There he is, back in third at the moment, 2 off the rail, and when the time comes, he had a lovely turn of foot. The horse back in third at the moment, Coulthard, he's made a little bit of late gain. Sonic Breeze has been a bit disappointing. The horse who we talked about beforehand, Caton, number 2, Crew Dragon, I thought here he was about to make an effort, but it didn't quite pay off for him.
No, he didn't have too many excuses, did he? He just kind of flattens out here through the stretch. But the one, Lincoln Hawk, who was in last in the early stages, does come up with his late kick. It's just not enough to be able to outrun those horses that were in the first flight. Team Merchants really enjoyed the perfect trip under Mario Gutierrez, and with the rail out, you do want to be in the first flight of horses. It's very difficult to make up the ground.
Well, Mario put himself in the perfect spot. Clear of trouble. He was 3 wide turning for home and in striking distance and pulls away from him. This colt had only had 1 try on the turf prior, and it was an absolute disaster after stumbling away from the gate. You really couldn't say much about that effort. The back class, though, so key, and he gets the job done here at 5-1. Let's take another ISO look at your winner.
You know, again, perfect trip. He's already moved on to the leader and takes over from Sonic Breeze, and Umberto Rispoli moves on about his business. The horse that really impresses me is the 3 Nerves of Steel, who was pressing the pace throughout, saved ground on the inside, didn't look comfortable, shuffled back, and then comes on again to finish second here. He's a distant second, but second nonetheless. And I thought was really getting a class test here at 40-1. You see him there chasing the winner home. I thought he had the most to overcome to maintain his position as the runner-up.
I think if you're a European jockey or a horse, or with a horse running from Europe in any of the races on turf, you need to watch this race over and over again and tell your jockey to emulate Mario Gutierrez, because that is how to do it on this track. As you said, the perfect trip, the perfect ride on the turf at Del Mar.
You just have to make sure you don't find trouble. You can't tap on the brakes. The stretch is not very long. The turns are tight, so you have to make sure you're not finding yourself in a position where you have to lose momentum, especially when you get into the middle distance and the longer turf races. You know how some of those horses, those big galloping moves, that it's like a locomotive when they get rolling. There's no stopping that, and once you do, you lose all chance.
But it's a fine line, because if you go too wide off the turn to be in the clear, you lose so much as far as momentum is concerned that it's almost impossible to be able to launch your bid and make it up in the time that you have, which is limited to the wire.
You just have to find yourself in the right spot. Mario did so here with Team Merchants, but his horse was very good in essentially his first try on the turf, his first fair try on the turf, and his first try going 2 turns on the turf. He might have a future on a new surface as he takes home our feature on this Thursday afternoon. He's loping back. Once again, Nerves of Steel 40-1, a gigantic effort at a huge, huge price. Kate, what do these times tell us about this turf course? Is anything to make of it?
No, I think it's kind of what you would expect. I could have seen them go even a little bit faster, but the jockeys elected not to put as much pressure on the 4 Sonic Breeze, who was the early pace setter, as might have been the case, and that was a wise decision because the horses that could have done it ended up finishing first and second.
This was a sort of race where we would say back home they just went a fair pace.
Right.
The fractions weren't crazy, and it allowed horses that were close to the pace to have enough in the hand to finish off their races. Horses that were held up, they were able to make ground, but not significantly enough to land a significant blow at the end of the race.
We'll say this. The O'Neill barn during Santini, they almost couldn't lose. I think he finished off the meet doubling up the trainer who finished second in the standings. His win clip was darn near 30%, wow, as everything he sent out was live. And that was after a strange Del Mar where some of the bigger stables this summer started off really slow. Phil D'Amato's barn had a big over streak. Jonathan Wong had a big over streak. Doug O'Neill took him a while to get going. But once the O'Neill barn found their stride, they absolutely crushed during Santa Anita. They've got some runners in the Breeders' Cup, including Hot Rod Charlie in the Classic, McKinnon in the Juvenile Turf, that you need to pay attention to with how much success they've had recently.
Without question, one of the things we often talk about are stables in form, and they often say that a stable in form, you can even saddle up the stable cat and it will win. And when a stable like Doug O'Neill is on a roll, you have to pay respect to them all the way along. The other thing I will definitely say is, if I were a European rider, I'll be making every effort to chat to Mario Gutierrez and ask him about riding this course.
Well, he had a fair bit of success. Nobody's ridden this course better this year than Flavian. I mean, he's ridden everything better. Umberto Rispoli made a mark on this course in 2020 where it seemed like he won just about every single race that they ran around 1 turn or 2. And those two have really been plying their trade at the best. These European riders, when they come in, they've had a fair bit of success. They're always sitting on very live mounts. Of course, when Aiden's Army comes in, he's not bringing horses over just to take a plane trip and get their picture taken on site. They're here to win. But sometimes that style of play, Caton, can be much, much different.
These are the best riders in the world that are coming over, though, and the majority are doing their homework. They talk to the other jocks. They know what it takes and what goes on. And I'm certain that most of them will be speaking to many of the jocks in the room. They will be walking the course as well. They'll be watching the races. So I have no doubts that you're going to see some magnificent performances from jockeys from all over.